They say you always feel betrayal before you understand it. That afternoon, I walked into my home expecting silence. Instead, I heard water running, then laughter. Not the casual kind, something intimate, careless, wrong. My stomach tightened before my mind could catch up. When I opened the bathroom door, the world shifted. My husband, Gordon, grey-haired, familiar. Someone I had built decades beside, sat in the bathtub with our neighbor. Tanya, steam curled around them like a curtain meant to hide the truth. Their shoulders were bare, their faces flushed. They looked comfortable, victorious. I remember hearing my own voice rise, sharp and steady, telling them they were old enough to know better, old enough not to humiliate me inside the house I paid for, the life I carried. Before Gordon could answer, someone shoved me backward. My son, Eric, stood behind me, tall, expressionless, and placed one hand on my chest like I was furniture in his way. His voice didn't shake when he said it. "You deserve it." The words landed harder than the scene itself. Tanya laughed softly, like someone enjoying a private joke. Gordon finally spoke, calm and rehearsed, explaining that I was difficult, that I remembered too much, that I never let things slide. That's when I understood. This wasn't chaos. It was a performance. I didn't scream again. Something inside me steadied. I stepped back, closed the bathroom door, and turned the lock from the outside. Not to trap them, to draw a line. Behind the door, I heard cursing, hissing, then Eric's voice, low and confident, saying the plan was still working, that I would crack soon. The word plan echoed. That's when shock turned into clarity. I reached into my coat and pulled out the second phone I kept for emergencies. I pressed record and stood still while they talked. They always talk when they think the ending is guaranteed. Tanya joked about doctors. Eric mentioned paperwork. Gordon said he would handle the signatures because I trusted him. Every word recorded itself. Standing there, listening, I realized something crucial. This wasn't just betrayal. It was preparation. And they had underestimated one thing. I was still paying attention. I thought the bathtub was the worst part. I was wrong. What I found next proved they'd been planning my erasure for months. Standing alone in the hallway, phone warm in my palm, I traced the truth backward. This didn't begin with Tanya or the bathtub. It began with my refusal to be careless. I spent most of my life working as a compliance-focused accountant. The kind of work that depends on details, records, and the courage to say no when everyone else wants convenience. One kept folders. I kept receipts. I kept memory. Gordon called it paranoia. Eric learned to roll his eyes at it. Years ago, while auditing a small community fund, I uncovered misuse of money and behavior that crossed ethical lines. I reported it. The fallout was ugly. People whispered. Donations vanished. Gordon blamed me for the embarrassment instead of the wrongdoing. Eric grew up hearing that lesson, your mother ruins lives. When he was 19, he came to me with a plan: borrow money to open a bar, invest the rest in a risky scheme. He wanted my signature, my credit, my safety. I read the documents and said no. The venture collapsed anyway. He blamed me for it. From then on, every boundary became evidence against me. Every warning was reframed as control. Every saved receipt proof I didn't trust them. Tanya slipped easily into that resentment. Friendly at first, curious about my routines, complimenting my memory while quietly mapping it. When I corrected her about rules that protected the neighborhood, she smiled and later complained I needed to be put in my place. Looking back, I see how neatly their stories aligned. They didn't hate me because I failed them. They hated me because I refused to fail myself. By the time I heard them plotting behind the bathroom door, the pattern was complete. They wanted me emotional, loud, unstable, anything but composed. Because composure ruins a lie. That night, I didn't confront them. Instead, I went looking for proof, and what I found was far worse than an affair. The next weeks, I became smaller on the surface and sharper underneath. I let my shoulders droop. I answered softly. I watched their relief grow as they mistook compliance for collapse. Inside, I documented everything. I scanned deeds, insurance papers, retirement accounts. I photographed draft documents, hidden in drawers, power of attorney forms, prepared without my consent. I found an email Tanya forgot to close, discussing timing and evaluations. A cognitive appointment scheduled without my knowledge. They weren't waiting for permission. They were already acting. I recorded conversations, not out of anger but necessity. Memory can be challenged. Recordings cannot. Then came the family meeting. They sat me at the dining table like a formality. Gordon spoke gently about concern. Eric said it was time to let him take over. Tanya smiled, offering help like it was mercy. They slid papers toward me. "You're 73, Eric said. No one's going to choose you over your own son." I nodded, asked them to repeat themselves. They did, confidently. When Gordon pushed the pen toward me, I set my phone on the table, instead recording still running. "I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly," I said. The room went silent. For the first time, certainty cracked. They thought that was the moment they won. They didn't know the door had already closed behind them. By dawn, the locks were changed. Not out of spite, out of accuracy. The house was mine. Bought before marriage. Paid in full. The law agreed. When Gordon tried his key, it didn't turn. When Eric arrived with police, I handed over documents, recordings, timelines. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. Facts did the work for me. Later, in mediation, I pressed play. Their words filled the room. No shouting followed. Just silence, the kind that comes when lies realize they've been heard. I moved quietly after that. A small apartment. Mountains outside my window. Space to breathe. I updated my will. I named beneficiaries who respected me. I helped other women learn what I had learned too late. Freedom, I discovered, is quiet. I don't regret locking that door. It didn't trap me. It opened my future. If this story stayed with you, then you already understand dignity doesn't disappear with age. It waits for the moment you choose yourself.